it's just very important to push, to believe, and not to allow anyone to stop you from moving forward.
Okay, well, here we are once again, and it looks like our old friends are back, Mr. Cornet and Nevsky. Pleasure, my friends. How have you guys been?
Good, and you?
Hi, Lance.
We're doing very well, doing very well. Me and John are here talking, well, I should say talking, we're shooting, and here to talk about your new movie, Night of the Caregiver.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, nice to see you both again. Mr. Cornet, Mr. Nevsky, always a pleasure.
Hello, John.
I watched your film, Night of the Caregiver. We'll talk about that a little bit afterwards. I got to say, because it just happened today, have you guys heard the news about William Friedkin?
I was going to say that I wanted to do just a kind of an acknowledgement of Billy Friedkin, because this is a great book, by the way, for anybody that wishes to know what it's like being a director. It's called The Friedkin Connection. It was written by William Friedkin about 8 or 9 years ago, I think. It's a great book. But as a filmmaker, I don't think you could get any better than him. He had an amazing legacy, an amazing career, and he was great throughout his whole career. Most directors, it's very tough for them to live up to, if they do achieve greatness in any way, it's very tough for them sometimes in the later parts of their career to maintain that quality. Not so with Friedkin, in my opinion. And he certainly influenced me.
Yeah, no, he was, well, obviously some of my top movies of all time are by William Friedkin, you know, from Sorcerer, French Connection, Exorcist, and even his quote-unquote lesser movies like Rampage or The Guardian are still better than, pardon my French, half the shit we get today.
His misfires, if there were any, were better than most people's regular output, you know. So he will be missed, but he leaves behind him a fantastic legacy. And we have a sort of a indirect, maybe a direct connection to the Billy Friedkin world in Night of the Caregiver, which we'll talk about.
Yes, actually, let's open up with that. What is that? I know what the connection is, but for our listeners, viewers, what's the connection?
Miss Eileen Dietz, please.
Eileen Dietz, of course, was in The Exorcist, and she wrote a fantastic book, by the way, which everyone should also read. And she talks quite extensively about meeting the Friedkin early on and how it all came about. But she is in Night of the Caregiver. She plays the kindly old lady.
And I think another little connection is, I think for you, it was kind of an homage to the Exorcist in a way, Night of the Caregiver, right?
Yes.
And for me, John, because it was my first ever horror film, besides I did it as a producer, but still, it was an amazing fun, joy, but also an experience. And working with Eileen and actually watching Joe directing her, and right in between sets, hearing all the stories about the original Exorcist. And it was all amazing. And it's kind of sad to talk about that today, but it is what it is. And as a producer, let me tell you that, of course, Craig wrote a very good script. And our composer, Sean Murray, wrote very good music and also helped to found those house where we shot whole film. But for Joe's credit, as a director and producer, he found a way to open movie up. Because yes, mostly it's in one house, but it's also in a different house. Yeah. It's also outside. We can see some Los Angeles, we can see Rose, we can see them outside. So it's not that hard to watch. It's not like we're all stuck in one location. So it's all for Joe's credit, in my opinion.
Talking about Craig Hammond, actually, I want to go back to him because he's written for both of you before. I've noticed you guys are tied into. So clearly, he came obviously with the horror script for you guys to kind of play around with. But in terms of what happened and where this was going, was this always a script you guys were planning to do for this horror movie? Did you guys develop it with Craig, or what were the differences between the drafts that start off in the movie we see?
Well, I think that, and Alex can take it from here, but the script existed before I came on board. And I believe the script was, well, you take it from here. When was it actually written?
Script was written, I think, in 2020. And I was really interested in horror genre for a long time. Of course, as a huge fan of action, I was thinking about something like The Predator, that kind of horror when you can combine action and a horror. But 2020 changed all of us, and I started to think about like a real horror film, and that's when I got an idea which Craig Hammond liked, and he wrote great script, and Joe liked it right after we finished Gunfight at Rio Bravo. Look at that. I mean, Joe used the camera differently, so we cannot show it, I mean, to all the audience it's all the time, but it's right here. As soon as we finished our first Western together, we had a conversation, we had a cigar, and we started to talk about horror films. And actually, I think we started to talk about The Exorcist and your favorite horror films. And that's when I got those ideas that, John, I have a very interesting script. Would you like to read it? And Joe already knew Craig Hammond, and he liked him already, and Joe read it. And that's how it all started. But just to your point, John, because film, which I made before Gunfight at Rio Bravo Maximum Impact, I mean, some people also can call it low budget, but it was almost $6 million budget, which is
I like that low budget. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Exactly. It's compared to Barbie, it's low budget, but compared to most of the independent films, it was very big budget. And those films felt like a very hard job, and besides the budget, we always had some problems with locations, with people, with attitude, with something else. Neither The Caregiver. Yes, of course, it was much smaller, but it doesn't look that much smaller. And because of all the fun we had, not just me, not just Joe, our cast and crew. I mean, it was kind of like vacation. Yeah. Vacation. And right now, when we almost ready to show it to the public, it will be out on August 15th in limited theaters and VOD. I mean, I can't wait, because it's my first horror film and my favorite director made it. Now I have just one regret. I supposed to be in it. It was a mistake. I should have played the monster. Yeah, but we will not give away much. Yeah, please go on.
Actually, I have a question. We got Joe. Joe plays detective in the picture on top of directing the film, and he has a great moment. I would call it probably your first hero moment. And he comes in and grabs a girl and says, "Come with me." And I was waiting for "If you want to live."
I have to interject this. That's funny you should say that, because the original script, Craig wrote "Come with me." And I thought, because of our love of all things Arnold, I thought that this would be funny if I said, "Come with me, ... if you want to live."
Come with me if you want to live.
And we filmed it that way. Actually.
Really? Nice.
But I cut it at the last minute. I thought it was just a bit too much.
But talking about those particular movie you had in mind, all these people who will watch Night of the Caregiver, they will see some red eyes. And those red eyes, same homage to those characters you just mentioned.
Well, I was going to say, because obviously, you guys, I think, come from obviously different genres of film. I want to ask Joe, as somebody who the last four, at least released movies have been Westerns, do you tackle this in terms of actual directing and sort of blocking a different way, or are you adaptable where like your style is just depending on the movie you're trying to tell?
Well, I definitely prepared for this one differently than I would have for any of the Westerns, of course. And I think that when we were in the initial stages of planning this out in pre-production, well, even before we started, Alexander said, "What do you think of doing a horror film?" I said, "Okay." I sort of had done one some years back, which never really saw the light of day. But so I had dabbled in the genre before, and I said, with one caveat, I said, I would consider that, but no zombies. I don't have anything to add to the zombie world. And indeed, I was in a zombie movie some years ago, and I played a zombie. Okay. But he said, no, this is a story about the paranormal. And he said, what I'd really like to shoot for here is something along the lines of Dario Argento. And I said, I'm your guy. Because I've loved Argento for years. And I mean, who doesn't? And, you know, to go from writing the screenplay of Once Upon a Time in the West to doing Suspiria and Tenebrae, and, you know, it's amazing. So this was on my mind when I went into it. And, you know, I went back in my film library, and I looked at Argento, and I looked at different Argento books and read about him all over again. And that kind of helped prepare. Plus the idea of having Eileen Dietz gave me a sort of the Friedkin thing. And so that was on my mind.
Watching the movie, I can help but notice that your creature looked fairly practical. And some of your gore, you know, quote unquote kills, if you will, also look practical to me. So how important was it for you guys to go as practical as possible?
You know, you can enhance anything, but I like the practical effects. And we had on this, and continue to have, one of the greatest makeup and effects teams that I ever could have wanted. And
particularly Maria.
Yes.
Maria.
They were so good. She was so great. Is the person playing the creature is a very tall woman. She was buried in, it's very beautiful. And she was buried in layer after layer of this stuff, and had this bodysuit on and everything. And it was quite a transformation.
You know, Joe, your filmography thus far has been, you know, like Promise, which is a Western, and of course the Rio Bravo movies, Gunfight at Rio Bravo, which is out now, by the way, Guys and Dolls, on Tubi, Amazon, like the whole shebang. And yours truly has a little role in there, playing myself if I was a mortician or coroner or whatever.
What is it, Ivan?
And you did a fabulous job.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So that's where you come from. Alex, you come from the action genre. I mean, Alex was a 3-time Mr. Universe in terms of bodybuilding, so his life is paralleled a lot. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he went into the action genre, action that evokes the action of the 80s and the 90s. So now you've just done your first horror film together. I guess my long-winded question is a horror action in the cards? Because I think you guys would kill it with that kind of high concept, like Predator or Aliens or something along those lines. With Nevsky in the movie, that'd be nice, Alex. You know?
Well, without giving too much away, yes.
Because I think me and Joe, we also should make more just straight horror movies. And neither The Caregiver was, again, it was an amazing experience. And me personally, I want to make more movies like that. And one more thing, which I think will be important to our audience, because yeah, we're having fun, we're laughing, we're talking about films, but of course it's not easy at all. It's not easy at all to produce even a small short film. So I think for all your audience out there, I mean, my example, Joe's example, yours example, because you also getting ready to release your second future as a director, and you did many movies as an actor. It's just very important to push, to believe, and not to allow anyone to stop you from moving forward. You know, when I was a bodybuilder, my favorite quote was Nietzsche quote, of course, from Conan the Barbarian, but I loved it even before I watched Conan the Barbarian. That which doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? And that's very important to understand. You know, it doesn't matter if you're doing bodybuilding, boxing, or just fighting, you know, with life every day. When I went into the show business and film business, I got another favorite quote: success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is courage to continue which counts. That thing, you know. So for all your audience over there, if we can do it, you also can. So continue to believe, continue to push for your dream, and of course, enjoy our movies.
So that's it, guys and dolls. Night of Caregiver comes out on August 15. So check it out. It's going to be on all the platforms, Amazon, you know,
Voodoo. Oh yeah, and everything else.
All the usual suspects. And also make sure to check out Gunfight at Rio Bravo, which is out right now, Amazon, Tubi, as I previously mentioned. And finally, keep your eye out for Taken from Rio Bravo, which is the sequel to Gunfight.
And also starring John Fallon.
Yeah. Yes.
A trifecta, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I had lots of fun, guys. Always fun playing that guy. So check it out. Joe, Alex, thank you so much for coming and sharing, and hopefully the audience loves the movie as much as Lance and I did.
Welcome to the end screen. Because we have our most popular videos up here, our latest videos over here, our modern reviews up here, and of course, the subscribe button right here, guys. Every little bit counts, and we do appreciate the support.